We're talking football with Bengal Jim and friends. We're talking football. We hope this never ends. Jimmy, James, and Tom are back for more. Like Joey B, we're here for season 4 with Bengal guests and stories not heard before. There's Tony, Mark, and Jamie, as well as our charity, Hooter Nation, joining from far and wide. Every Sunday night, the guys are back at it live. By the fans, for the fans, from day one, it's time to have some fun. We're talking football with Bengal Jim and friends. We're talking football. We hope this never ends. The Bengal boys stop by to drop the feet. Don't get your popcorn ready and take a seat. Season 4 will end with the Lombardi.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to an off-season edition of Talking Football with Bengal Jim and Friends. Guys, 18 days from the draft. We're ready to go. Later, about 8:15, we got draft guy Jarad, and we're going to be talking about the top defensive lineman and top offensive lineman. I know it's not a sexy position, but we don't win the Super Bowl this year unless we got that locked up, right, Tom?
Well, yeah, it's the biggest weaknesses we had. We need starters. We need depth. We need everything on there. We need guys over 310 pounds, period. So Jarad is an expert on line play and linemen on both sides of the ball, and he's going to help us out and also our viewers.
Yep. James, you made it back to Indy today, I see.
Yeah, it's I was just looking back. I think the St. Patrick's Day one was the last show I was on, so it's good to be back. And Draft Talk is like Christmas. Enjoy hearing the chatter. So much speculation this time of year. Obviously, some news today of somebody who was potentially on the Bengals radar having a run-in with the law, so that'll change things up if everything holds true with that. But no, exciting time. Lots of Jungle Jam news. It seems like every day more and more stuff is coming out, something else we release. So we're going to talk about that here shortly. But as always, we appreciate all the fans that tune in, by the fans for the fans. So we appreciate each and every one of you watching and joining us here tonight.
Yep. Well, I'll tell you what, we got draft guy Jarad coming on. Very sharp guy is going to come on here about 8:15. But until then, James, let's get into some Jungle Jam. We got some updates, some breaking news that we can share with the fans. But let's start with where we're at with ticket sales, because this thing's going to sell out.
It has. I think it's been about a month that tickets have been on sale, and we're halfway to a sellout. So if you're on the fence, if you're thinking about, hey, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it, got some things lined up, get your tickets. We are limited simply because of the fire marshal and the space at the venue. So there is certainly a max. We're halfway there right now, and appreciate everyone that's bought their tickets. But we do have an extra carrot for everybody that buys their tickets by May 1st. So you have a little less than a month away. Anybody that's purchased their tickets in advance is going to go into a raffle, 100% free. And Jimmy, show them what they're going to win if they purchase their tickets here before May 1st.
So we've got an image of it, I think. Here it is right here. But before May 1st, if you get your tickets before May 1st, Jamar Chase signed speed helmet here, legit helmet. I mean, this thing is heavy, very cool. So you automatically are entered in there for every ticket that you purchase. So make sure if you're definitely going to go, if you're going to go buy it now, make sure you get your tickets locked up and enter for that helmet. It is badass. It's
Did
awesome.
I just see that Mon is coming up?
Mon sent us a text today. Mon doing good work down there in the Sunshine State. He has a youngin going to college, so he's trying to maneuver scheduling a move-in with Jungle Jam. Mon made the first trip way back to Canton many moons ago. So, yes, that is correct. Mon did send us a text and hopes to be there in July. But that helmet, that's the first time I've seen that black helmet with the white stripes, and I think it looks even better in person. I think that that graphic is cool, but all black like that with the signature on white and the visor. That's pretty sweet.
This helmet is, if you go online and try to find this specific helmet, we're talking about $1,500 for this damn helmet here. So it's a nice one. We appreciate Bengal Bids. They always our tailgate sponsor and partner as well. But make sure you get entered for that thing. That is an awesome. We'll probably just put everybody's name on the wheel at one of the shows here early May and see who wins that thing. James, we're getting a bunch of text messages. Lisa and Mark just said, hey, James' tagline in Jungle Jam should say the 20th, not the 22nd. Everybody knows that.
I'm going to have to fire the assistant.
we got these interns from NKU and UC, man. We got to do better.
I want to say they're Ohio State interns to make those mistakes. Anyways, I say that out loud.
You did.
There, corrected. July, man, I would have been 2 days late for Jungle Jam. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, I'm getting messages now too. There goes all of our Columbus support. Thanks, James.
So, James, take us through all the other news. So we got the helmets by May 1st, but we broke some news maybe about an hour ago on social media.
We did. We actually broke news yesterday, but we'll go ahead and talk about the news that we broke about an hour ago. I want to be very clear about this, but as we said even at the beginning of the show, this is made up of – what is everybody making fun of?
It's the 20th.
Hey, hold on. I'll blame that one on the University of Kentucky intern. All right, so Ohio State and Kentucky are not on my – I see it.
There goes Georgetown and Lexington.
Okay.
Yes.
Hey,
Craig, good job.
20th, third time's the charm here. Release. I want to be clear. These tickets were not from the Bengals. These were from a friend of the tailgate that generously gave them up for charity. So what we did is about an hour ago, we announced that as part of Jungle Jam and no later than 2 weeks before the preseason game, we are going to give away a pair of tickets for pre and regular season for the Cincinnati Bengals for the upcoming year. So you'll have 2 tickets in the Bengal Gym section of 158, row 19, close to the aisle. You will have 2 tickets for every preseason game, 2 tickets for every regular season game the upcoming year. And as we always do, 100% of the proceeds will go to charity. The charity for this event will be the Joe Burrow Foundation. We appreciate them partnering with us on that. All those proceeds will go to that. $100 a ticket. There's not going to be any more than 500 sold. And I don't even know what the value of season tickets are in that section. 2,500 each, 3,000. I don't even know what they are. But we'll do another draw on here, and the winner will be taking those tickets home. So what did I forget about that, Jimmy, as I finally corrected the Jungle Jam date?
No, you hit it right on the nose, brother. It's look, guys, this event on the 20th, this will probably be our, between us on the screen and Dell and Tony and Mark and Craig, this might be the biggest single event fundraiser we've ever done, ever in the history of all the events that we've done over the last year. So we're talking about money for Ted Karras' foundation, Ken Anderson Alliance, Joe Burrow Foundation. I'm missing one, James. Jeezel Pete's. Anyway,
Village of Mercury, however you say it.
Yep. Village of Marici, I'm sorry. So just go online, buy those tickets. Everything we're in the black on is going to be divvied up between those charities. We're a 501c3. We'll be able to show you where that money is going, the whole 9 yards. We don't make a damn dime on this. We love doing this, raising money for charities, helping others with this platform that you guys have helped us build over the years. So thank you so much for being part of it. But even if there's James, if there's a situation where they can't make it, they're able to go online and donate as well, I think, correct?
100%. So that link that I just posted in the comment section, that's for all things Jungle Jam, and that's going to be our platform for the year. We've partnered up with One Cause. So once you have an account there, whether you want to simply buy a raffle ticket for Jungle Jam, whether you want to buy part of the year-long ticket raffle, you can do that there. Everybody's familiar with our duck races. That will now be the platform for the year. So once you have your account in there, You can store your credit card. You don't have to. They also do Apple Pay and Google Pay. That'll be your one-stop shopping, and that's where you will go to purchase your chance for the year-long tickets for the upcoming Bengals season. And also along those lines, we did a press release yesterday as part of Jungle Jam, running throughout the event on Saturday. Will be a cornhole tournament. We had 10 teams do it as part of our Colts Bengals tailgate back in December. We had more people that wanted to do it than we had spots available within the time window. So what we've done is 32 teams. You just sign up. It's 2 members per team. And $50 entry. Again, 100% of the proceeds go to charity. It's going to be a double elimination blind draw. So what we'll do on the show as we lead up to Jungle Jam, we'll do the bracket kind of NCAA style. We'll go to winner side, loser side. You have a chance, again, double elimination. So you're guaranteed 2 games, and we're just going to go all the way through till we have a winner. I want to thank Lisa and Beth and all the other ladies at Houday Ladies. They're going to run that portion of it. So we appreciate them volunteering to be part of Jungle Jam on Saturday, July 20th, not July 20th, end of whatever. But that entry is also at that same link. So if you want to sign up a team, I think we're already a third sold out. So there's only 32 teams to make sure we can get it in throughout the time frame for Jungle Jam. So if you'd like to sign up, huge prize. You can get let's talk about the prizes, Jimmy, that the winning team's going to take home.
So Ron Boyle is, everybody knows Ron. I think he makes the what the hell's he, the laser printer, whatever he's using. But he's got a bunch of stuff, the trophies he's making for first, second, and third place, I think, for the winners. So he's doing that. I put this up here. Obviously, huge prize. The leg lamp guy that makes the Bengal leg lamps, if you know what I'm talking about, he will be there at the event with a 10x10 tent selling the leg lamps too. So he'll be one of the vendors that we have there.
Well, just another Pearson leg, or can we get like a Jim Breach leg and Shane Graham?
Shane Graham's going to be there. Jim Breach will be there. I think they'll obviously sign that for him, I'm sure.
You think we can get a left-footed, a Mike Nugent left-footed leg? I mean,
nothing from Ohio State will be there.
Oh my gosh! Leave my Bucks alone, James. Damn it! And then
yes. John, we're hoping you and your lovely wife drive down from Pennsylvania, because I think along those lines, what is already like 13 different states represented that purchase tickets for this. So John, we'd love for you to come on down. But yes, if you can't be there, there's going to be a 50-50 raffle that day that you don't have to be present. There's a whole nother aspect we haven't talked about yet of an online auction with autographed items, thanks to our friends at Bengals Bid. So you just go to that website. It's going to be one-stop shopping for that event and also for other stuff that we do.
Hey guys, real quick. Going back 4 years, when we were up in Canton that day, a little warm up there, but did you ever think Bengal fans in the off season could buy? I mean, forget about us and the work and everything else, but Bengal fans coming together with such enthusiasm, ignoring the naysayers, the doomsayers, the negative people, the negative media, come together, for this and be this enthused, so quickly, to celebrate the franchise and celebrate the franchise's great players and, celebrate, their fandom and talk and get fired up for the season. Did you ever think something like this could possibly happen?
I think when we did this 3 years ago, this will be our 4th event like this. Tom, we were scared to death nobody was going to show up in Canton, if you remember. And that Canton, that event tent, they kept having to add seats throughout the event because there were so many people showing up.
Jimmy, there was one guy on this screen scared to death nobody was going to come in July.
the lower half of the screen, just to clarify, but go ahead.
No, but Tom, you're making a great point, man. And I just think it's just the enthusiasm and excitement around this team, the city, the fans, not just locally, but all across the country and internationally. It's fun. Bringing people together is the way to go. So
No, it
best
is.
thing.
It's funny you mentioned that, Tom. I was down the bench today at the Reds game, walking through that area where we had it last year, and then we were walking downtown too, past the venue we had in year two, and it certainly brought back memories of how everything's evolved. Whether it's been Dave Lappin, Willie, Dan Horde, Kenny Anderson, just people being part of what we've done and what we've built. That first year during COVID that we did it up at the Hall of Fame, people that came in, Mon was there from Florida, people from New York. I remember we had a whole bunch of giveaways that day, and we did like the furthest away, and I don't even remember where that person was from. But again, just a huge representation of Bengals fans from across the world, and excited to see him again in July.
Yep. Can't wait. Well, it is. We're a couple minutes past due already, but Tom, go ahead and introduce our next guy here. But just as everybody's watching on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube right now, we are talking offense and defensive linemen. I know it's not a sexy discussion, but let me tell you, we do not win without these guys on both sides of the line, period. So we're going to dig into some conversation with Draft Guy Jarad. This guy, if you've never caught him before, you're gonna love this guy. This guy has some good stuff. So Tom, go ahead and kick us off with Jarad here.
Everything Jimmy just said. Here's Draft Guy Jarad.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh,
Hey guys. Hey, I think it's a sexy conversation. I don't care what you guys say. It's one of my favorites. So I'm real excited that you guys brought me on today to talk some trenches.
There you go, baby. Tom, kick us off, buddy.
Jarad, we'll get to the news of the last 24 hours, but
All right.
setting up the roster and looking at the depth chart on both lines, you've got, we're Bengal fans. Let's face fact. There's a giant shoe being, hovering over Paycor Stadium, ready to fall and crush us all. The sky is always falling, so forth and so on. You got half of Bengaldom screaming, "My God, we have no nose tackle." Division that loves to run the ball that we couldn't beat last year. You got the other half screaming, "My God, we have no depth on the offensive line. Trent Brown is out of shape, too big, old. We have no right tackle to block TJ Watt and Myles Garrett. How do we help ourselves in the draft? Can we fix what needs to be fixed in the draft this year and get to New Orleans and win the game there?"
Oh, I think absolutely, because this year is a good year to have all of those problems. Even though there's not a strong nose tackle kind of group to help fill the role DJ Reader, there are some good run defenders that can help us, not just in the first couple of days, but even later on in day 3. The offensive line class is the best I've ever evaluated. I've only been doing this kind of Twitter thread breakdowns that I do for the past 3 years, but this is far and above. I would say the past 2 combined for offensive tackles, at least in talent. So it's kind of a good time to have these problems.
Well, you mentioned that up, and I was going to do this in part of your intro, but your partner, Parker, we were talking about before. We discovered him. He had like 60 followers on Twitter. We brought him on the show. What was it, 2 years ago, Jimmy?
Yeah.
2 years ago.
All right.
And then, bam, now he big times us. He's running with James Rapine.
Yeah.
He's quoted in articles and everything else. We discovered him. We made him a star. Now, when we do that for you, don't forget us.
Okay, I'll make sure I'll remind him next time I talk to him where he came from.
But
Hey, Jay, we're gonna send in this clip right now, so we're good. We're
All
good.
right, let's do it.
I'm of the camp that no matter what this franchise does, and there are holes to fill, as talented as they are, nothing matters if that offensive line is not good enough to keep number 9 upright and healthy and functioning. Not just who's the best offensive tackle or right tackle, who is the best lineman to help fulfill that mission, looking at our depth chart now and what they need. Who's going to be there realistically at 18 to step in and help us?
I think the most realistic and best option that the Bengals have in front of them is Amarius Mims from Georgia. He's got the size. He's got the athleticism. He's only 21 years old. He only started this past year at Georgia, he played he played the playoff game and the national championship the year before. And he's got about 800 snaps total to his college career, but they're high-level snaps. We've all seen the defensive linemen that have come through Georgia the past couple of years and past couple of drafts. He was on the scout team for their offense during those times. It's not that he hasn't played good competition. He's done it in practice every day. And that technique shows through in those limited snaps. So I'm pretty bullish on what he can do as long as he can stay healthy. I think he checks a lot of boxes the Bengals look for in an offensive tackle, and it would be the perfect situation because he wouldn't have to come in and start immediately. He would come into a locker room with two guys that have broken the stereotype that big guys can't block. And he would be the most athletic out of all of them. And then you have a future plan at either right or left tackle. I think he could play either one moving forward. So I think Amarius Mims would be the most realistic and best option. And I think he's probably would be the highest rated player on their board at 18 if he was there.
And I think for Bengal fans, and you know, you got to be old like Jimmy and I to remember these kind of things. But maybe the best type of comparison when I've watched him is Joe Walters. I mean, Mims is very tall. He's got an incredibly, insanely wide wingspan.
Yep.
The main thing for him, he can also run block. But I think his forte is pass protection. When he learns the nuances of the pro game, the main thing will be keeping him healthy. Our viewers are going to get sick of me saying this the next couple of weeks with our guests, but the Bengals had another guy in his senior year who really only played one game his entire senior year. He played one game. He played the Rose Bowl. He dominated like you couldn't believe. And Anthony Munoz came in and didn't miss a game for a decade on the way to becoming the greatest offensive lineman in the history of the game. But when he has played, like you said, it's quality snaps against high-quality opponents. He dominated Ohio State, played very well against Alabama and their elite speed rushers. But you think he will be there?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good likelihood. The only thing that's kind of messing with me right now is Mims has another pro day coming up, I think on April 10th. It's like a private workout with him and Brock Bowers. But him and J.C. Latham are very close in my mind for the Bengals. The thing is Latham never tested. So I feel more secure in saying that the Bengals will target a player like Mims. But I think Latham might be the more likely one there. I think there are some teams that'll like Mims and know that the Bengals like Mims and try to move in front of them to get him.
Stay in that offensive tackle side. We're going to get to Mon's question in a minute. But if you have a question for Draft Guy Jarad, put it in the chat. Are you envisioning Fuaga and the gentleman from Washington being gone, or are you saying that Mims is going to be taken over both those other guys from the West Coast?
I personally am not as high as Fuaga as most people are, and I'm a weird stickler. It's Fuaga, kind of like Tunga Vailoa. Like Polynesian, all of their syllables are spelled out. So like Troy Fa'utanu from Washington would be the other one. Both of these guys, I think there's a pretty good likelihood that they're both gone. Fuaga is hard for me because I see him more as of a guard. He played in a wide zone system in college. His pass protecting is kind of suspect, and it doesn't translate well to the Bengals system. So I don't think he would be as likely a pick for the Bengals as most people do. I mean, I totally get the athleticism, the strength profile and stuff, but it's not like Trent Brown's health issues are enough to where I want somebody who I know is going to go out there and pass protect extremely well in the case that Trent Brown's not there. And Fuaga's not high on that list for me. Like, I would prefer him to start to compete at left guard and then move to right tackle, like to get used to NFL speed, because it's something he struggled with in the Pac-12, which didn't have a whole lot of solid edge rushers. Like, he played pretty okay against Latu, but that was the best competition he played all season. So I want to see him play at NFL speed before I would feel comfortable with him taking over at right tackle. I feel like I've rambled a lot.
Great.
Let's stay on the tackle front and say,
okay.
maybe we draft a defensive tackle, maybe a cornerback falls to us like Mitchell. Looking at second or third round, Mon has a question here, and this name's popped up quite a bit, is offensive tackle Blake Fisher. Maybe talk about him in the later rounds, or say we don't go offensive tackle in round number 1. So what about the kid from Yale and Rosengarten? And I believe there's an Arizona kid who's also an option if we don't go tackle in round 1.
Okay, I haven't watched Kieran Ahmed. I don't know how to say his last name. From Yale. I haven't watched any of him yet. Yale tape is hard to come by. I remember last year Yoshi had to put his own highlights on Twitter to get people to watch him from Princeton. So Kieran would have to do the same kind of thing for me to be able to get any kind of idea of his play. But Blake Fisher, Roger Rosengarten, I don't think either of those guys make it to round 3. And there's a pretty good reason why. They're both athletic. Fisher is extremely young. I think he's one of the youngest tackle prospects in the entire draft. He's huge. He's 6'5", 330 pounds. He looks like a right tackle. He plays like a right tackle. He's super smooth. There's a lot to work with and a lot of high-level play already with Fisher. And Rosengarten is the same way. But they're both young. They still, you can see, like, they just need more reps. Like, they just need more time to develop their pass rush, their anchor, how to deal with pass rushers and stuff. But they have all of the tools and stuff you want to see. But with this class of tackles, there's 8 or 9 guys that are probably going to go in the first round. And I think there's going to be a surge at the top of the second of teams that weren't able to get their tackle in the first round, where they're going to reach for guys that have athleticism and all of the tools and stuff like Rosengarten and Fisher do. So I'm actually, as the closer we get to the draft, the less and less the sure I am that those guys are even going to make it to 49. I think you're going to see teams move up in the second round to get those guys.
On that note, I'm sorry, Jimmy. On that note, Jared, I was just about to ask you about Kingsley Suamatea. Penei Sewell's cousin, for those that wanted to take, for those fans that wanted to take Penei Sewell a few years back. Do you put him in that class, or is he the type of guy, if the Bengals like him, they could trade back and get him?
He would be, yeah. He's the leader of that pack. I don't even know if he would make it to round 2. To be honest with you, I think you're looking at Detroit, Baltimore, and Kansas City, and San Francisco. Those 4 teams could all take offensive linemen at the end to help build those trenches and help build up those rosters that made deep playoff runs last year. So I think that's another reason those players are going to go sooner rather than later. And you mentioned Jordan Morgan earlier. I think he's right there with Suamatea. Like, I think he's going in that spot. I actually have a lower film grade on him than even Roger Rosengarten. But I think because of his athletic traits and stuff, he's going to get bumped into the first round as well.
Before
Jimmy,
we go
I'm sorry.
to defensive tackles, let's talk about the Graham Barton, I believe, from Duke. And again, Mon brought that up. Do you if I'm not mistaken, there's some talk. Is he projected to be inside, outside? What's your thoughts on him? 1, going in the first round, and 2, what's going to be his NFL position?
Yeah, I think there's a chunk of guys. At the top of the tackle class, there's 6 guys. They're the big 6. And it's my opinion that if the Bengals miss out on those big 6, there's a next group below them that should go in the 20s. And Barton's in that next group below them. It's him, JPJ, Kingsley Suamatea, Tyler Guyton. Those are the guys you'll see come off the boards in the 20s. I would love for the Bengals to pick up Barton, but I think he's more of an interior player. But I think it lines up with what he would be their backup swing guy right now. He'd probably start at left guard, and I would imagine he would be their plan at center for the future.
Interesting. All right, so let's go back to the defensive line here a little bit. So I want your opinion on this guy, Sweat.
It's Byron Murphy, yep.
Oh, is that Murphy?
That's Murphy. That's 90.
My bad. I've got my mixed up here.
Sweat's got a bigger belly.
Yes, so the Sweat kid from
and a mugshot.
Yeah, I got Murphy in here twice. My bad.
You're good.
Talk about Sweat. Where did you see him prior to today's news? And everybody didn't hear. I think he got little trouble, little DUI that was really going to hurt his draft stock. So talk about where you saw him prior to this situation today, and now where do you think he falls to?
I would say his film was borderline first round film. He had an early second round grade for me. Him and Byron Murphy both have the same film grade for me. Sweat is a good football player, and I thought pretty highly of him even before all of this. I was a little sketched out he didn't weigh in at the Senior Bowl. He weighed in at the Combine at 366 pounds, and I had heard rumors of these partying things last fall. But it really looked like he had put it all behind him. And we know for a fact the Bengals have been around the Texas guys a lot this offseason. They spoke with him at the Senior Bowl. They spoke with him at the Combine reportedly. And they went and attended his pro day and had him in for a 30 visit. So I am so surprised myself personally from this, because it's one of those things where I was rooting for him to do extremely well. And like with teams like the Bengals who have done their work and done their homework and hope that all of this stuff was behind him, for something like this that was completely in his control to avoid the last and most important month of his life, I would say it's a huge red flag, and I would be concerned about his draft stock. Before this happened, I would say I had a solid day 2 grade based on testing and all of that stuff. He would have been drafted probably late second, early third round. I bet most teams have taken him off their draft board at this point. And if he does get drafted, it's going to be in day 3, because the first 2 days of the draft are for contributors, and you can't ask a guy who can't keep himself out of trouble off the field to contribute to your team on the field. So I would imagine the Bengals probably see it very similarly.
Yeah, I think that was a lot of discussion on all the social media platforms today when that went down, right? So interesting, man. I mean, again, kid just cost himself a boatload of money. So hopefully he gets his stuff together no matter where he lands. But I'm going to kind of do a reach here, Jarad. So I don't think he drops, but any way, shape, or form you think our guy here, Joe, gets to 18?
Not Joe. Unfortunately not. I think that dude is going to go in the top 6 or 7 picks of the draft pretty easily behind the quarterbacks and the first 2 receivers, whoever they may be. I will say my second rated tackle in the entire draft, Olu Fashanu, he does have a good chance of falling. He's kind of hit a wall with people are calling it draft fatigue. He would have been the best tackle in last year's class. Easy top 5, top 10 pick. And he put almost identical, if not better, film on tape this past fall, except for one game. And somehow he has like completely slid down boards. Like I'm pretty sure Lance Zierlein had the Bengals drafting him with the 18th pick. I would love that. I think that's a perfect scheme fit. He came from a pass heavy offense at Penn State. He is probably the best pure pass protector in the entire class. And if people want to say that he had a bad season or a down season and let him slide to 18, that should make every Bengals fan extremely happy. I think he could play left or right tackle. I think he's got all of the measurables. He's got the incredible hands, incredible balance. He would be a slam dunk pick in my opinion.
You know, it's interesting. You mentioned him falling this year to potentially where he would have gone last year. I think you can probably say the same thing about Jared Verse, the defensive end from Florida State as well.
Actually, I disagree because last year's edge class was much better than this one. Verse did the right thing. I think he's probably the first edge player to come off the board this here in a couple of weeks, because he put the best film, most consistent film on tape over the course of the fall. I had an early second grade on him last year if he would have chosen to come out, but he made the right decision. I think he made the right business decision this year. He's my number 1 edge player. I think he's probably going to get picked in the top 8 to 12 picks, and I think he's going to be a really good football player.
What do you like for Verse over Dallas Turner, who others say will be the first defensive end off the board?
Versus has a power profile that Turner just doesn't put on film. Verse can push people around. He can push big 340, 350 pound dudes around like it's nothing. And then he developed a really nice pass rush off of that power. He is going to make you bend to his will, or he's going to wear you down to the fourth quarter, and then he's going to do it. And it's one of my favorite play styles. If he makes it to 18, I wouldn't be surprised if the Bengals were super interested because he fits the bill of what they look for in their edge players.
Staying along the defensive tackle spot, if we do go offensive tackle in round one, seems like there's a lot of round two solid guys, whether it's Michael Hall from Ohio State. There you go, Ohio State people. I'm giving you a shout out. The Jenkins kid from Michigan, the Florida State defensive tackle, Fisk, McKinley Jackson from Texas A&M, Taylor from Miami. I'm not so sold on the Clemson guy. We mentioned Sweat earlier. We talked about Byron Murphy, but it seems like a lot of defensive tackles are going to be available there in round two.
There's two Clemson guys. There's Tyler Davis and Rook Orororo, who actually is my personal favorite. If the Bengals get a tackle in the first round, to be pick 49. He's the best run defender at defensive tackle in the entire class. He played, defensive tackles play from 0 to 5 techniques. He's played all of them. The Bengals love that kind of versatility. And he was the pivot point for the Clemson defense this past year. So wherever they were trying to stop the run, they would stick him in a gap and make sure that he would get the double team. And it was incredible to watch him take on these double teams and everything. He's one of my favorite players in the entire draft. He's a leader. He's only been playing football for 5 years, so his pass rush still needs some work, but I really love his upside. He tested like a 96th percentile athlete. Like, he checks a lot of boxes for me, and I would be super stoked if the Bengals picked him up at 49.
Tom?
Nice. Hey, real quick before you get going, Tom, just a reminder, everybody that's watching on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, pop your questions. And we got a lot of questions kind of feeding through here from all platforms, and James is going to try to get to some of those. So make sure you type them in there, and we'll try to get to them. Tom, go ahead, bud.
Jared, you mentioned, and I couldn't agree, but the first two nights, your draft picks, you're hoping those guys will come in a very short order, contribute to your team and your team winning. And certainly the Bengals are going to need that this year. They're going to have to hit on these drafts. But there are guys that a little later in the year can contribute from later in the draft. And you watch the guys, like you said, who did the Bengals pay extra attention to at the bowl games? Who did the Bengals talk to at the combine? Where are they visiting? And a guy who won't be taken probably not until day 3, although you never know where a team's board stands, is a nose tackle from Florida Atlantic University by the name of Evan Anderson. I didn't know what you had seen of him and what you thought of him, but we have no nose tackles, and he is a nose tackle and a half.
Yeah, the one game I've watched of Anderson was actually against Clemson to kind of tie it all back together, and he played extremely well. He's a bit smaller than you'd expect from a normal nose tackle. He's like 6'1", 320 pounds, but man, he packs a lot of power in that frame. He's not moving anywhere laterally. He's going to stay in one spot, but that's his job. He's not getting moved. He's going to move his dude upfield in passing situations. He's very strong, and I think that would be a good late round pick.
Staying in Cincinnati, what's your thoughts on the defensive tackle Briggs out of UC?
Briggs is one of my favorite. I love the idea of Briggs staying in Cincinnati. He's another guy like Orororo, just smaller, who has played every position, and he's played in a lot of different schemes in Cincinnati. I know the last 3 years he's had 3 different defensive coordinators, so it's been one of those things to watch him. It's fun to watch him change positions, but still be as dominant and consistent as he is from down to down. So yeah, I think Briggs is a slam dunk. I actually, he was interacting with me and a couple other Bengals fans on Twitter not too long ago. I thought he was an older prospect because somehow I knew he had 3 kids, but I didn't know how old he was. So I thought he was an older prospect. He's only 22 years old. So I had to move him up my board because I thought he was like 24, 25 years old coming out in the draft.
knowing what we did in free agency or the lack of people signed on the defensive line, do you envision 2 defensive tackles, maybe 3 in this draft?
I have kind of thrown out the number of 5 linemen. However, they kind of fall to them. So I think either a combination of 3 offensive or 3 defensive linemen could be very possible. We saw them do it before with the Jackson Carman draft. They drafted 3 offensive linemen and 2 defensive linemen that draft as well. So it's not something we haven't seen before. They've gone pretty skill position heavy these past couple of drafts. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if a lot of the picks ended up being lineman picks.
Tom or Jimmy, do you want to go again before we go to a question?
Yeah, let me. So I guess, Jared, put you on the spot here. I mean, give us a surprise. Give us a 4th round Geno Atkins surprise pick by the Cincinnati Bengals.
Do you want offensive or defensive? Because I could do either.
Pick one of each. One of each.
All right. Offensively, I love Jarrett Kingston from USC. He's a transfer player from Washington State, and that's where I noticed him when I was watching Abraham Lucas a couple of years. He was their left guard. He moved to left tackle the year before last year, and then he played 3 different positions for USC on the offensive line. He played left guard, and right tackle, and he played it all at a pretty high level. He tested like a really good athlete. He's got size, he's got power, and like I said, the versatility is unmatched. I think he'd be an incredible 6th lineman. I think he can fill in all 5 positions. So Jarrett Kingston, definitely keep that name on your radar. And then let's see, defensive lineman that I like on day 3, because there's a lot of them. Defensive lineman is probably the biggest group that I've watched. I would say let's go with Jordan Jefferson from LSU. LSU has 3 defensive linemen that I love all 3 of them. Unfortunately, their secondary and linebackers kind of let them down last year. But Jordan Jefferson, he's got great size. He's like 6'3", 310, 320 pounds. He reminds me a lot of BJ Hill. BJ's entering the last year of his deal. So I think it'd be great to bring in a player like him to kind of learn from him, pick up his role, and really kind of fill in if he needed to, if BJ hits the open market.
Gotcha.
Talking about offensive linemen again, particularly the center position, heard from one end of the spectrum to the other on JPJ, the center out of Oregon. What's your thoughts on him? Is he definitely a first rounder, and just overall, is he a plug and play center ready to go in the NFL?
His film says he's a first rounder. I've heard some issues that teams have with injury concerns. He played banged up a lot of last year, but I think his film is phenomenal. I think he's a first round player. And I think he's the kind of player you want on your offensive line because he's mean, he's nasty. You can tell he's smart. He is vocal. He does a lot of good things right. I've watched a couple of interviews and stuff with him. I think the people of Cincinnati would love him. He's got a great personality. So JPJ would be a huge slam dunk draft pick. He's one of those other guys I'd probably pick in the 20s, though. I'd probably move back and pick JPJ.
Sticking with the inside of the offensive line, we've got Alex Kappa, who came in, played fantastic his first year, was playing fantastic last year, got hurt, and played much of the year hurt, and it showed a little bit. But he's only got 2 years left on his deal. Ted Karras, last year of his contract. Cordell Volson at left guard, a free agent after next year at this point at least. Who do you see if we are looking at a center to groom or somebody to draft at center to maybe play at guard this year, a backup at guard, transition to center after JPJ in the first round? Who do you like?
Well, I like Jarrett Kingston. He was one of my favorite guys. Another guy that I think the Bengals will really like is Charles Turner from LSU. He was their center. Not the greatest athlete, but his play reminds me a lot of Ted. He's strong. He got all of the protections and stuff set for LSU. He helped great in pass protection. He's not going to give up a whole lot of depth and stuff in his pass protection. Their system was very similar to the Bengals in general. So I think Charles Turner would be another option in the later rounds if they wanted to bring in another center type.
Question from a listener, Suburban Daddy, and I believe the Bengals brought him in last week. From another LSU guy, Mason Smith. What's your thoughts on him?
I think they're going to have to take him with one of their third-round picks. I personally would probably just go ahead and pick him with pick 80. His size, his athleticism, his age. He's another one of those super athletic young guys. So the league puts a premium on those guys. And when a guy like Devondre Sweat kind of falls down boards, other guys are going to move up. And Smith is going to be one of those guys that moves way up people's boards.
Sticking at defensive tackle, Chris Jenkins, Michigan national champion, names thrown out a bunch. What's your thoughts on him?
I love Chris Jenkins. He is more of how we use Cam Sample. A lot of over the tackle, in between the guard and tackle, kind of playing that gap. But he's like a souped up version of it. Super athletic. His dad played in the league for a long time.
Yeah.
You can tell that knowledge was passed down, especially in the run game. He does a lot of technically sound stuff in the run game. He's one of the better run defenders. Him and Rook, there at pick 49 would be slam dunk picks for picking up our run game.
I think if you look at our weakness last year, certainly was up front in the trenches on the defensive side. We said earlier we need to protect Joe. I think overall there's plenty of opportunities in this draft to shore up both sides. I appreciate you coming on, Jarad. Anything else for him, Jimmy, before we let him go?
No, not on mine. Tom?
No, we've wasted enough time. Well, I will ask him this. Between now and the draft, how much sleep will you get? And where do you monitor the draft from? Where do the guys that eat and sleep the draft 365 days a year on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and the second Christmas Day, where do you guys watch the draft?
So I watch the draft usually the first day of the draft. I'll find like an event or something to do for the first night of the draft, because everybody loves round one and it's always fun to go have drinks and celebrate your team and the new addition to it. So I'll find like a bar or something to go with a couple buddies from work. But day 2 and day 3, I'm going to watch it scroll on my laptop, man. I'm just going to sit and do my thing and just watch it scroll on by. I think that's it. You asked me something else before that, but I forgot what it was.
Fine. For those people that want to follow you, how do they do so, and what platforms you on, Jarad?
Oh yeah, I'm just mostly on Twitter at Draft Guy Jarad. I have a YouTube link. I haven't put much on my YouTube. I also occasionally do a podcast with our friend Parker Blake called the PB&J Trench Talk podcast. We may get together one more time, either before or after the draft, to kind of sum everything up. But other than that, yeah, just mostly on Twitter.
So recap for us before you get off here, Jarad. Some people I know logged on late. Your prediction Bengals first round draft pick will be
Amarius Mims.
I like it, brother. We appreciate
my 1B is JC Latham. Those are the two, and my brain is so set on those two.
Gotcha. Well, brother, we appreciate your time, man. It means a lot. Tell Blake we said hi. I know he's forgotten about us, but I'm just glad you took time with us tonight, buddy.
We hope if we call you, you'll come back and visit with us again.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for having me on. And thanks for so much you guys do in the community. It's much appreciated from afar. So thank you all so much.
All right.
Thanks,
Who day.
He's a character. Right. I love him. He's good. He's good.
It's good.
It's funny. Like sometimes you talk to the draft guys, right? They're just all monotone, just like boring, put you to sleep. Jarad was fun, man. I tell you what, he has some good sound bites there. I know the 4th round draft picks, the Geno Atkins surprises, and he was very no hesitation on who he thinks the Bengals are picking for round 1. So interesting.
No, I think on a serious note, everything's in front of us. There's some questions in the chat about other positions. We'll be talking about that next week with our buddy Brian from Deep Fried. So as we lead up to the draft, more draft conversation coming up. But Jarad kind of concentrated on the trenches. That's why we kept the questions that we posted to him about the offensive and defensive linemen. But great conversation. We know both sides of the ball are needs, and plenty of opportunities in the upcoming draft to address them. So let's go back to Jungle Jam discussion, if that's okay, gentlemen. Kind of where we were before Jarad came on. The one thing we didn't, I think, go in depth in, if you can pop up the graphic, Jimmy, is the cornhole entry one more time. I want to make sure that doesn't get past, because we don't have a whole lot of spots left. There is going to be 32 teams, double elimination. Finding every graphic but that one.
we don't have a graphic for him. That's all right.
Yeah, we do. Let me see. We have it. But 32 teams, double elimination. Maybe we didn't upload it. No, it's not in there. 100% of the proceeds to charity. And again, we want to thank Lisa and the Houday ladies for administering that part of Jungle Jam for us. So the link is in the chat where you can go and register, get the Bengals tickets for the year. You can register for the cornhole tournament there, 50-50 raffle. So go there. It's one-stop shop, and we're going to keep adding to that page as we get closer. We expect an update Monday on our hotel rooms from the Aloft. Stephen, the general manager that we put the deal together with, was on vacation last week. But I know we were over halfway sold out on that. So if you're coming in from out of town, need a place to stay, give our friends at the Loft at the Levee a call. Plenty of stuff to do there at Newport on the Levee. If you've never been to town, right adjacent to that, and make your, hey, there it is. I think everything's there. Yeah, so we're going to do a almost like an NCAA tournament draw here on the show, where we'll seed 1 through 32 teams. It's going to be 100% random. Some of the questions I'm just trying to think about that we've gotten is when you sign up, it's a team of 2 people. That entry is for you and your partner. One thing to keep in mind, though, that entry doesn't get you into Jungle Jam. So you need a ticket to get into Jungle Jam and an entry ticket for that. Those are 2 separate tickets. And, as we talked about, well on our way to a sellout. More and more people coming up with questions, how to get involved. If you know somebody that wants to get involved, let us know. We're trying to, we're actually in the phase now of working on sponsorship banners for the event. So if you have a company who wants to get involved, reach out to us, and we're happy to have that conversation. Jimmy, go ahead.
Yeah, hold on. I'm going to pop up a couple more things here. We're going to stick on the Jungle Jam conversation. So the link, when you get on it, I'm loading something as we speak here. So this is our release that we did today. No, you can't read that on there. There's a quote there from Jimmy Burrow, obviously Joe Burrow's dad. So, make sure when you click that link that James put on in the chat area and also on our social media platforms, you have to set up an account, right, James? Can you walk him through that, at least help him understand how that works?
Yeah, it is. You can set up an account. It simply asks for your email and password. Once you're logged in, you can do everything for the event on there, whether it's purchase a raffle ticket, whether bid on the silent auction items. That's going to be your one-stop shop. And then again, that's going to be our platform for the year. When we do the duck races, when we do any charitable things at the tailgate, it's all going to go through there. So once you have your account, you're logged in, you can do Apple Pay via there, Google Pay, credit card. It even has ACH if you want to do that way. So it's pretty simple. Go there, get everything signed up. And again, stay tuned. Just stay tuned to social media, because it seems like almost daily we're having new exciting additions to what's going to happen on July 20th. And we're excited. I know there's a question in the chat, Chris, asking about more players confirmed. There are. We don't want to say anything official until it's official. It's kind of it's a fluid situation with book and travel, getting everything arranged. So once the I's are dotted, T's are crossed, stay tuned for more official announcements. There's going to be several more names, both current and former Bengals. So just be patient with us on that. And once we feel safe about making it public, we certainly will do so.
Yeah, and we're still over 100 days away from the event, guys. Okay, I know we're, like Craig would say, we're probably jumping out too far in front of this, but 100 days away still. We have a good 35 to 40 players that have committed. Again, we're going to wait as we get closer to follow up on a lot of them. There's going to be players that are going to be signing autographs all day. There's going to be players coming and going that won't sign autographs. They might be coming in, making an appearance, making a little, saying something to the crowd and leaving. So it's going to be a combination of current players and tons of former players that are going to be present. And as we get closer, like James says, we'll firm this up and we'll let you guys know. The other thing we talked a little bit about, but we firmed it up earlier this week. FOCO is going to be heavily involved in this event as well. So they're going to provide, I think there's boxes full of stuff heading our way. So there'll be tons of giveaways by, FOCO and some other folks, but FOCO will be a very prominently involved in the event on July 20th. So
don't do my crazy idea of wanting to cut off the pants and make jorts out of them. You don't have to. They're now called short talls, I think is the shortals is like shortals. So I had that crazy idea I told Jimmy about. Thankfully I never did, because now there's an option to have the long version and the short version of the striped stuff, and I'm sure we'll probably see white ones for the whiteout game. So
they do have them.
FOCO does to support all of you at the tailgate.
Yeah, a couple things that people have asked questions on that need to be pointed out. Jimmy and James, when we toured the facility and have walked around over there, is that parking is going to be very close, very convenient, and sounds like very affordable right there on the levee that day. And we're not just going to have giveaways. We're going to have raffles. You're going to be able to bid on things. I mean, really nice stuff. And we'll be dropping a lot of that as we get closer to the date. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of Bengal talk. Looking forward to seeing as many people as we can there.
Yep.
Yeah, we've determined there's going to be raffles every 30 minutes. And if you haven't been to Megacorp Pavilion, it's pretty state of the art. There's Jumbotron. So every 30 minutes, hopefully your ticket number will be popped up on the screen. We'll have several raffle winners announced every 30 minutes with great prizes, thanks to people like FOCO, thanks to people like Bengal Bids, the vendors that are going to be set up there. So it's going to be a three-ring circus in a great way. So much going on throughout the event, whether it's the music, whether it's the player autographs. One thing you didn't touch on, Jimmy, is an opportunity for pictures with the players as well. We're looking at obviously kid-specific autograph signing for the youngsters that are going to be there. So a fun day for all, and make plans if you haven't yet. But going back to our guest tonight, Draft Guy Jarad. As I said, the next 2 weeks leading up to the draft, that's going to be our discussion. I think we've all done mock drafts so far. And, I think offensive tackle, defensive tackle, the Brock Bowers questions, we can have those ready for deep fried next week. That's a player's name that's popped up for the last 3 months as somebody that's potentially on the radar. So you can start preparing those for next week's show. Jimmy?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
This is the 2-minute warning.
We had to put Tony in there. God, let's go ahead.
Let's
go ahead. Kick it off. Tony, as being a fan of the year, will be in the inner circle up at the draft. So I hope he gets to actually do one of the drafts. That'd be awesome. Actually, get Tony up there actually reading off one of the draft picks. But Tom, go ahead and kick us off, bud.
Again, you guys have so many ways to keep up with our favorite team. Thank you for spending time with us. It means a lot for us to be able to communicate with you every night and keep things fired up and get the fans' information out there. So looking forward. It's a very big month. Jimmy, are we allowed to go ahead and announce next week's guest? We already have one announced.
Go ahead. Announce them both.
The original, the first Bengals draft pick ever, Bob Johnson. We had him on last year before the draft, and it was one of our favorite interviews of the year. So we're looking to spend a little more time with Bob Johnson, and also friend of the show, another from James's Stable of Stars, Deep Pride, Brian Bosarge, draft expert, who's become a great friend of all of ours in the shows, will be there. So have all your draft picks ready. James?
Yeah, the nice part about Brian, and thanks, Tom, is he was actually at the Reese's, I think that's what it's called now, the
Senior Bowl. He goes every year.
In Alabama. So somebody that's not only does his due diligence online, but in person, seeing these players at that Senior Bowl. So his knowledge is welcomed, and love hearing what his thoughts are. An SEC guy, so he's got his feelings on and seen a lot of those guys play in person. So we value everything he does. Question here from Eileen, going back to Jungle Jam for the raffle. Do you have to be in state? No, you don't have to be. That's a great part of doing things online and having that platform. So you can partake in the 50-50 raffle and not be there that day, Eileen. But no, appreciate everything. Again, this is an exciting time because the other back end of this is once this draft is over, they'll announce the damn schedule and we can plan our fall. So another couple of weeks to the draft and probably a week or two after that, and we can plan our fall accordingly. But
you two just can't wait. You both want to go to Germany so bad. You want us to play the Panthers in Germany. I mean, we're working about what your jorts. You both own Lederhosen. I'm glad I won't be going. I don't want to see that.
Beers and strudels, man. We're ready to go, man. We're ready to go.
My fall, Tom. That's all I want to do. I just want to plan my fall accordingly. And the NFL has just become a 12-month, 365-day monster and drag everything out. But as always, appreciate everyone tuning in. Jimmy, we're 1 minute over, so make it fast.
We're over. So looking forward to everybody next week, Bob Johnson and Deep Fried. But real quick, Jungle Jam. We have only done social media posting on this at this point. We had one interview on WKRC maybe 3 weeks ago, but we have a ton of radio and TV spots lined up here the next 30 to 60 days. This is going to sell out. So make sure you let your friends and family know because it happens every time we do an event. We say there's limited tickets. People try to get tickets the day of or the week of, and they're gone. So don't wait. I'm just telling you, don't wait. $20 a ticket, family friendly. It's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you get the word out to anybody you know, friends, family, people you tailgate with, people you attend the games with. There's never been an event like this ever in the history of Cincinnati football, man. So we're excited that everybody's going to be part of this. So, guys, we appreciate it. I know this isn't part of our regular season podcast here. We'll be sporadic throughout the off season here, but we definitely want to keep it going next week as well. But we appreciate everybody. Thank you for joining us. We love you guys. We'll see you next week. Hoo day, everybody.
Hoo day.